Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight for the Channel Kindness virtual event. I'm Alicia. I am a bookseller with Best of Books, which is a locally owned independent bookstore in Edmond, Oklahoma, and has been for the past 30 years. Best of Books has always been focused on giving our customers new and groundbreaking books. And we are so excited to be working with the Channel Kindness book tour right now. And so excited to just be giving out this book to, to everyone we can talk about it with. And yeah, so let's get the Channel Kindness event going. So we have a wonderful host tonight for you. So Alex, take it away.
Hey, thanks, Alicia. It's so wonderful to meet you. Hi to everyone in Edmond, Oklahoma, and literally the world. Hello, thank you for being here tonight, and thank you for that wonderful introduction. It's an honor to be here. I want to share with everyone that this is the last stop of our virtual Channel Kindness book tour conversation, and I cannot believe that. This has been such a wild ride, but you all know that just because the virtual tour is over, it doesn't mean that that's the end. The story continues to be told at channelkindness.org, and of course, you can always buy the book at your local bookstores. I'm Alex Aide. My pronouns are he, him, his, and I'm the Director of Programs at Born This Way Foundation. Here at Born This Way, we are so honored to be able to uplift the voices of the next generation. Storytelling is such an important part of our mission, and in order to eliminate the stigma surrounding mental health, make kindness cool, and validate the emotions of young people around the world, we need to create a welcoming environment that nurtures speaking up. I'm grateful that I can celebrate Channel Kindness and its authors today. We hope it empowers other young people to share their stories and what drives them to make this world a kinder and braver place. I'm especially excited, though, because I'm joined here today by three of our New York Times best-selling authors. That's right, we were number 2 on the New York Times bestsellers list. Rose Nguyen, Mallory Kolodziej, and Isaiah Morgan. Hi, team. How are you all?
Hi.
Great, doing fantastic.
Fabulous.
It's so good to see you all. I love the t-shirts. This was not planned, by the way. Just totally not planned, right?
Not at all.
I was wondering if you could please introduce yourselves, your pronouns, and your experience sharing your stories in Channel Kindness. Rose, let's start with you.
Yeah, hello everyone. My name is Rose. My pronouns are she or hers. I am a sophomore in college, and my experience with sharing my story on Channel Kindness was my first time ever opening up about my grief and my self-harm. And growing up in an Asian Vietnamese specific household, I never really got to talk about my mental health. And so Channel Kindness gave me that platform, and I'm so grateful for this opportunity.
Rose, that means the world to hear, and we're so grateful you're here tonight. And hi, Mallory. How are you?
Hi, Alex. I'm wonderful. How are you?
Good, thank you.
My name is Mallory Kolodziej. My pronouns are she, her. Sharing my story in Channel Kindness has been just absolutely exhilarating. Music has always been a place of acceptance and self-expression. So being able to write about that and share that with a larger demographic has been just so incredibly rewarding. And I hope that anybody who reads our book has the opportunity to foster their creativity and self-expression in a safe place. And thank you so much for having us here tonight. It is truly an honor.
Beautifully said. Thank you, Mallory. Again, we're grateful you're here. And hi, Isaiah.
Hey, how you doing, Alex?
Good.
Good, fantastic. Well, yeah, I appreciate you guys having me. Hello, everyone out there. My name is Isaiah Morgan. My pronouns are he and him. For me, I just want to take it all the way back to actually 3 years ago this January when Channel Kindness really fulfilled their mission with me personally of empowering you. I was fresh out of college. I was in a tough place in my life, and Channel Kindness flew me out to New York City, and taught me how to report on just these amazing stories in my community. And 3 years later, it's still making an impact on me. I felt like writing this story or having this story published felt like I was reliving just the empowerment I felt, and just when I was invited out to New York City and you guys trained me up, it just really made me feel like my potential mattered and felt like I mattered, which was a big deal because I was going through a lot at the time. So I'm hoping that this book and the stories within it just offer other people just a piece of that, whether it's just a little bit of hope or a little bit of bravery. So it was just fantastic to be a part of it.
Thank you, Isaiah. And Isaiah, your story focuses on seeking support for and maintaining mental wellness. So I'm curious, and I'm sure our audience is too, why was it important for you to tell this story, and what would you say to those who may be experiencing mental health struggles right now?
It was important for me to tell this story because similar to what Rose said, with my culture growing up in an African American and Mexican American household, just how I experienced it through my family, talking about your mental health and having those conversations and being open about your emotions, wasn't always encouraged. And then also just the general mental health stigma that everyone goes through. And I believe Lady Gaga said it best about a week or two ago. She said that mental health is real health. And that really stuck with me and just reminded me of why I wrote this story and just all the conversations that hopefully it spurred, and just making myself personally comfortable having those conversations. And to anyone having, mental health struggles or know someone having some mental health struggles, I would like to share just, some words of support from my story from my friend Josh that I interviewed for the story. And this is what he told me to tell people, that you feel like that are struggling with their mental health. I would say, let me know how I can support you. I believe what you are going through is real. You will get through this. And, that just, those three things will make that hard conversation a lot easier.
Isaiah, that's incredible. And I remember reading your story for the first time a few years ago, and you submitted it, and I knew it was something really important. And it's an honor to get to share this even broader now with the book. So thank you so much.
Absolutely.
It's easy to forget sometimes that we aren't alone. So when we go through a tough time, we forget that we have people there who want to help us. So we, of course, invite you to check out resources. And then one of them that comes to mind for me always is at bethere.org to learn how to identify if your friend might be struggling with their mental wellness, lean into the tough conversations, and connect them to support. Rose, in your story titled The Gift of Asking for Help, you write about how you felt after losing your father and how you reached out for help when you engaged in self-harm. I'm curious, what would you say to someone who may be experiencing similar emotions?
Yeah, so today actually marks my 6th year without my dad. And it so happened that I'm speaking on this panel. And I think the first thing that comes to mind throughout the 6 years that I learned is that healing isn't linear. Every year and like literally every day, every week, I learn something new about my grief. And I think right now what I'm trying to understand is that I think I pressured myself to kind of get over my grief and like get over the fact that my dad had passed, even though I think a better way to approach it could be to understand that I don't really have to get over it. Like I can still hold him very closely in terms of memories, sharing those memories with my other friends and family. And I think for those who are going through grief right now, like you don't have to get over that. And, your healing process is so particular to you. And so whatever you feel at the moment is totally valid. And I hope that, you share some kindness to yourself and know that you are strong enough to get through your darkest days.
Thank you, Rose. And I want to share with you, your story is so beautifully written. I had a chance to reread it today, and again, I remember reading all of these stories for the first time right when they were published, but it touched me today even more because you share about how it's like having a cloud hanging over you in the sky. I literally just said that to my therapist the other day with certain problems are like clouds in the sky. And it's like, oh my gosh. So it's wonderful. And I'm sure so many people like me read that story and feel validated. So I just want to thank you, Rose. That's incredible. And you're right, by the way, healing isn't linear. And I want each and every one of you to know on this panel and online tuning in to remember that we hear you, your emotions are valid, and you're not alone in this world. That's why Born This Way Foundation and our partners at Find Your Anchor created pleasestay.us. And again, you can check that out at pleasestay.us, where we invite you to take the hashtag #PleaseStayPledge and then identify the many things that are anchoring you to this life from minute to minute. It doesn't have to be groundbreaking. In fact, my 3 anchors right now are Isaiah, Mallory, and Rose on this line because they're wonderful and they remind me that there's so much to have hope for in this world, and I'm grateful that they're here in it. So I'm asking everyone online tonight if you can please share with us in the comment section below what your 3 anchors are, and of course we invite you to take the Please Stay pledge at pleasestay.us. I'm curious to everyone on here right now with me, Isaiah, Rose, Mallory. I'd love for you, if you don't mind, to share what your anchors are. Let's start with Mallory.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I am so fortunate right now to just have so many different anchors in my life. Music, obviously, being one of those things, and the support of my family, my husband, my little puppy, Georgia.
Aw.
And my place of work. I work at a safe place, which is a center for victims of domestic violence and human trafficking. And seeing everybody that I work with come together to support the mission, to support victims in their healing process, has just been so inspiring. And to be able to watch this work being done is just truly humbling.
Thank you, Mallory. Rose.
Yeah, currently my anchors are my mom and my brother back home. I think they always keep me grounded, even though I haven't, checked in quite a time because of school. But I think just even the thought of them keeps me very grounded. And I think the third one is my best friend Ashley. We go to school on separate coasts, and we, never fail to text each other every day. And I think that also reminds me of home and keeps me grounded.
Thank you, Rose. Isaiah.
Yeah, I would say I also have 3 anchors as well. It would be my parents for sure. They've been for me through thick and thin. Usually through thick with when I'm calling them. But and then reading, I do read a lot, and I'm not just saying that because I'm on a book tour, but I do read a lot. I just love getting new knowledge, getting new skills, and then also one I need is just staying physically fit and staying active. That's a huge one for my own personal mental wellness for sure.
Agreed. Same here. Thanks, Isaiah. Now I have to be honest too. I have to admit, one of my anchors is also music. You can't work for Lady Gaga's foundation and not have music as one of your anchors. And Mallory, in your story, you talk about how a local music store became a safe haven for local youth by fostering kindness and community through music. So, how important is it to find and create inclusive spaces for self-expression?
Alex, that is such a great question. For me, music and quite frankly, all other forms of artistic and self expression are the very core of our human experience. And the arts are just the most inherent form of self expression that a person can have, whether it's the music we're listening to, the music we're creating, the clothes we wear. I think what I love most about it is that music is an experiment. There's no right or wrong answer. And so creating a space for people to be able to express themselves and to come into their own while feeling fully supported is just it's so special, and it sets the ground for them to take that back into their communities and to give and support others. For me, when I was 14, I was sexually assaulted by one of my teachers, and that took away all of the stability of my childhood. And the only thing I had to lean on at that time was music. And when I think back on it and I think about the instability of adult life and moving throughout life, music has sort of allowed me to create a sense of stability for myself and to feel whole and to feel happy. And so I think that when we create those spaces for people that are non-judgmental and supportive, kindness is just sort of inevitable.
Well said. In fact, that leads me to make an announcement tonight. I want to share with the world that I was in the marching band in junior high and high school. I will proudly admit that I played alto saxophone. But I bring that up, I joke about it, but I bring that up because it's true. Music can lead you to finding your people. It can it can lead you to exploring new talents and skills. It's truly like the most beautiful thing to get to experience when you get to take part in music. And even if you just enjoy listening to music, it's truly incredible. So thank you, Mallory. I also want to acknowledge right now that even though we're being asked to be physically distant, we still need to reach out to one another and stay socially connected. I'm curious to everyone on the call tonight, what are some of the ways you all stay connected to your communities? Isaiah, how about you?
I'd say a big one for me is giving back. Really, I know recently for my job, we had basically we climbed a 14er. It was my first one. So it was pretty difficult, but then, beforehand we made it a whole event, called it like the Climb to the Clouds, and we raised money for a local nonprofit that really helped me stay connected with my work friends and allowed me to reach out to some people who I hadn't talked to in a while just because of COVID and moving, and just like, hey, I'm donating money, donate if you can. And, just a great way to catch up with friends. And it just allowed me it was an excuse to connect with people, just even on a higher, just to connect people on a more consistent basis and just have that opportunity. So, and it's always feels great to give back. So I think that's a great way to stay connected.
Oh, that's awesome, Isaiah. And speaking of, I don't know if you all have heard out there watching, we have an election coming up on November 3rd, and there are a million ways to get involved in helping protect the safety and the right to vote. So you can check out ways to volunteer. One of those, of course, you might have seen on Lady Gaga's social media today is at wetheaction.org, especially if you're an attorney. It's one of the ways you can get involved. So I invite you to check that out right now. Rose, I'd love to ask you the same question.
Yeah, so currently I am originally from Oklahoma, but I'm currently in New Jersey for school. And so there's like obviously a big disconnection there on top of COVID. But I think right now I think my immediate community that I thought of was just my friends. And so from whether that be from different schools or back home, I always make an effort to reach out. And so whether that be setting up like small Zoom calls or just giving them a text or a FaceTime call, I think it really connects me back to, where I'm from and remembering like my community.
That's awesome. Thank you, Rose. Mallory, how are you staying connected?
I think similarly to Rose, actively checking in with people, whether that's family, coworkers, colleagues. I know we all wish for our communities to be well, but I think it's safe to assume that a lot of people are not right now, given the state of what we are all experiencing together in the world. And so showing up, supporting unconditionally, and just letting people know that you're there. And, when you ask somebody how they are, staying to hear the reply and, showing up and being 100% committed to actively listening to people.
Agreed. Thank you, Mallory. So I would love to actually turn this over to our audience tonight who have asked, I don't want to brag, but I'm a great multitasker and I can see some of the questions in the comments right now. So I'd love to ask some questions directly from our audience tonight. One of them is, how do you find the time to take care of your mental health and practice self-care while going to school, work, or navigating the challenges of this pandemic? Rose, I'd love to hear from you on this one.
Yeah, so I think a lot of like I've gotten a lot of questions regarding like, oh, like how have you been balancing, school and also just your mental health? And I think I, quite frankly, am not balancing it. I think I'm more so prioritizing my mental health. I think that's my way of actually looking at it and understanding that like I'm more than what I'm producing, and if I don't feel well at the moment, like I can take time for myself, and that's okay. Yeah, especially as a student right now, went through midterms. Like I made a purpose to not sacrifice any of my sleep for any coursework because at the end of the day, like yeah, like I'm more than what I produce, and I really stand by that. So I hope that the audience also takes time for themselves, and it's okay to not be balancing everything, but possibly prioritizing your mental health is really important.
Exactly. When we say be kind at Born This Way Foundation, that means both be kind to yourself and be kind to others. So it's important to take time to take care of yourself. Thank you, Rose. Isaiah.
Yeah, I like how Rose said, you have to make time, for self-care and just making sure you're taking care of your mental wellness. I'll even take it a step further. You almost have to make yourself make time, because in my particular case, with just staying fit, being outside, that's just a huge thing for me. I don't I don't have to run a 5K every day, but I think, the little things count. And that's something that played a factor in, me experiencing significant depression for the first time in my life um, throughout COVID, when it first hit, everyone stayed at home, like, weeks and months of just, being by yourself, because I also live alone. So, and then that really fell off. But as soon as I started, investing in that self-care and making myself make time, I definitely seen a significant difference, and, just helped me live my best life for sure.
Being outside can definitely be a magical thing. So agreed, Isaiah. Thank you. Mallory.
I think that for me, balancing mental health is about acknowledging when you have to do the work. You might wake up one day and, you're not as good as you were for the last week, and just sort of acknowledging that there are things that you need to actively work on and make time to work on internally has been a huge game changer for me. Acknowledging anxiety, acknowledging when I'm, feeling depressed, and showing up with those feelings and saying, okay, why are we feeling this way? Let's dive deeper. Let's, take up space to feel. So that's been a big one for me.
Completely. I mean, we have to remind ourselves sometimes that we're literally in a pandemic. Like, that's almost cliche at this point to say, but you forget, every day for the past 6 months has been so unusual that it almost weirdly becomes routine. So don't forget that this is it can be an extremely exhausting time and a difficult time. And so however you need to cope with that, it's okay. And I'm just glad that each of you all are taking care of yourselves. We always like to close our conversations on a note of hope. Right now, where are each of you finding hope and joy? Mallory, I'd love to start with you on this one.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a wonderful question, Alex. I think for me, my biggest source of hope and joy right now is watching people come together for the betterment of others, seeing people sharing their resources, watching people work together to be actively anti-racist, and watching an entire group of young people that have never had the opportunity to vote in an election before show up and vote. You are the future. You are the change makers. So I'm just incredibly proud of everybody who's getting out there and showing up for everybody else. I mean, it's truly beautiful.
I agree. And to everyone out there, show off those I voted stickers on social media when you get them, because that is an awesome feeling and an awesome moment. And we have to celebrate that. Isaiah, what's giving you hope?
Right now, what's giving me hope, off the top of my head, it's definitely just the stories I've heard in my own personal circle and the stories I hear in the news of just people overcoming adversities during this pandemic, like you said. But, just because now I definitely identify with that, realizing that, that how important, my mental health and mental wellness really is, through this pandemic, and just seeing people overcome, layoffs and, uh, financial stress, and just really coming together and be like, hey, that's rough, but this will pass. And just having that, just an amazing attitude when they're in a far worse situation than I am. So that's, just if they can have a great attitude about where their life's at right now, then I for sure definitely can. And to Mallory's point about, young people just really getting out there in the vote and the activism. Yeah, with the Black Lives Matter movement, I know I've seen, in my hometown Pueblo, about an hour south, I know one protest I attended was organized by, I believe, a couple of high schoolers, and it was one of the biggest in the city. So it's definitely it's fantastic to see young people really out there. And just on the topic of voting, I would like to encourage you all to definitely exercise your right to vote, both nationally and locally. Do not forget about local elections.
Very important reminder, Isaiah. Thank you. Rose, what's giving you hope?
Yeah, for me, I've actually been quite in a slump, just like with school and just I think it's really daunting on me just how, the elections coming up and COVID and everything. And so I think right now what's bringing me joy is learning how to cook. I'm cooking for myself for the first time, and I went from burning live pasta like on the stove to making like actual meals like spaghetti and stir fried noodles. And so I'm very proud of myself, and I think yeah, cooking has just brought me so much joy.
Oh, I'm proud of you for that, Rose.
Thank you.
I also know how to cook spaghetti, thanks to my mom, which is, I know a very simple version, embarrassingly, but I'm very proud of it. So either way, that's awesome, Rose. Thank you. Well, what's giving me hope today, and you all three of you are giving me hope, by the way, and I appreciate you all for joining me on this conversation. But what's also giving me hope today are the tens of millions of people that have taken the time to practice their rights and voting early. So if you can vote and you need to learn where to go, or if you just have questions, please go and visit turbovote.org. I will not sing the jingle that Lady Gaga wrote. I don't know if you saw that on Instagram. It's pretty incredible. Check it out. She wrote a beautiful song about Turbo Vote. But seriously, go check it out. It's extremely helpful. And this election is really important. And I'm proud of everyone out there right now who are voting and helping secure the right to vote. Thank you all so much for your questions and for tuning in this evening. Rose, Isaiah, Mallory, this is the finish line of our virtual tour. I'm so honored that you all are here joining us. This has been such an incredible journey, but as you all know, the journey continues at channelkindness.org. There's so many more stories to be told, and there's so much more hope and inspiration for all of us to share with the world. So I can't thank you all enough for being part of that. It's an honor to get to know each of you and for you all to be part of my community. So I just want to thank you all so much again for being here and all your work out there in the world. And I also want to remind you, shameless plug, as they say, Channel Kindness is available right now through Best of Books and wherever books are sold. So please visit channelkindness.org/book for more information and to purchase. I feel like a celebrity getting to plug something. So thank you all for giving me that opportunity to do that. But seriously, to everyone on here tonight, thank you all. If you ever need just a dose of inspiration or a dose of hope, again, check out channelkindness.org. I want to remind all of you all to stay brave, be kind, and have a good night. Thank you all.